Hi guys, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you the process of having my brake calipers on the C43 AMG changed from their factory standard silver, grey, whatever you want to call them, which subtle, yes, but just a little bit too low-key for my liking personally. I've already had red brake calipers on my previous CLA 45, so I thought I'd do something a bit different, a bit more bold with my C43. Plus, one day I woke up thinking I was Bruce Wayne or something like that, thinking I was Batman. So yeah, slowly turning this into the cheapskates version of the Batmobile. Now to help me out today, I've got the help of Hamzah from Caliper Refurb Manchester to kind of talk through the whole process of doing these at home. Some do's and don'ts and some helpful some helpful tips and tricks if you did want to do something like this yourself. Now let's actually get a little bit closer in. Now from factory they come in a very, very high standard. So one thing that I wanted to avoid was like bubbling, paint drips, and anything that basically made it look like a cheap finish overall and not OEM. Looking at the overall finish of these, I'm more than happy. It completely transforms the look of the car. The decals are of very, very high quality. It's not just the front calipers as well. The rears have been done, and I'm actually particularly impressed with the rear. Particularly impressed with how the rears turned out. Now on most cars, especially performance cars, the rear calipers are a lot smaller than the front calipers, and from factory actually there were no decals, so Hamzah has actually supplied me with some AMG decals that are obviously a lot smaller than the front calipers, very subtle and very, very OEM looking, and overall, yeah, it looks absolutely great. Now, I had my calipers done all from the very comfort of my driveway. Hamzah came to me, did all his work in the space of a couple of hours, and I was left a very, very happy customer. If you are interested in having your brake calipers done, whether you've got a Honda Civic or a brand new Porsche 911, the standard of work and the quality of work is, I'm really, really impressed, more than happy, and all for a reasonable price as well. Now if you are interested in having your own calipers done, I'll leave all of Hamzah's details down below. He's very kindly provided me with a discount code. If you quote ZH Cars, you'll get 10% off a full set of painted calipers. Right, I'm freezing off now, so I'm going to stop talking and we're going to jump straight into the process and transformation of these brake calipers into how they are now.
So the first stage, we've got to clean the caliper. You can either do it with a cloth or you can do it with brake cleaner. Cloth takes off all the dust which sticks on. As you can see, it's coming off. And brake cleaner takes off any brake residue. So that's just a spray. And it literally just takes off all the dust. You can use it on your discs as well to clean all that rust. This is the first stage, and then once the brake cleaner's on, use a steel brush to take all the extra excess and dust off. So the second stage now is to mask it up. That's the most important bit because you don't want any overspray. All you've got to do is cover the bits that you don't want paint on, and then you should be good to go for the next step. The more you mask up, the easier it will be, and you won't have to clean any spray off the discs. or any excess spray that goes into the underlay. Using a bin bag comes in handy. As you can see, it covers all the disc and you don't have to worry about masking all the subsections with tape. So a bin bag does the job. And because it's so thin, it just seeps into the caliper, so you don't miss a touch when you are painting. So the next stage is to use primer. You can use different types of primers. You can use white depending on the colour. White is normally for brighter colours. Yellow, it is a bright colour but it's also a hard colour, so it's best to get yellow primer. And the reason why I heated up the caliper, well, just to warm it up, was so when the paint lands it gives it a better finish. Just makes it a bit smoother, as the whole caliper's same temperature. So the first step's the primer, that's the main thing. And with like painting, you've got to take your time, you can't overdo it too much. If you put too much on, it could cause bubbles, could cause leaks, and also dripping, which is the last thing you want. So just again, with every coat you try and dry it as much as you can, just so it gives it a better surface for the paint to hit on. Once the primer's hand dry, touch dry even, you need to put your next coat of paint on. With the paint, the best thing is to go for the intricate bits first, so all these angles, all the harder bits. So once that's covered first, you won't need to go over it again. Especially, these angles, make sure you get these done on the first coat, but very shallow coats. And hopefully you see the results. Once the first coat is done, just give it 5-10 minutes, or if you've got a heat gun, just do what I'm doing and let it dry. You don't want to overspray 2 parts twice without it drying, otherwise it will just start dripping and there will be too much liquid on the caliper. that's dry, just put a second coat on. Now the second coat will cover any shortfalls, but because you've got all the intricate bits already sprayed, you won't need to go over them. So you'll see a colour difference of where you will need to spray again. So that should make it easier. Now for the next stage, I'm going to take off the bin bag, take off the masking tape. You'll see me dry this bit a lot more than the rest of the caliper. That's because the decals are going to go on here, so the AMG sticker. Therefore this has to be the driest part. It can't be wet, otherwise the paint will peel back once you take the decal off. Now that the caliper's dry, we're going to put on decals. Now these decals need to be vinyl cuts and they need to be high temperature resistant. So if you get any standard decals, it might peel off after a bit. But if you go to whoever you know that can make high temperature decals, make sure you get them, as they're the best for the caliper, as they do tend to get heated. The hardest bit is aligning it, so before you put the paper down, just make sure it's aligned correctly. And once that's on, I'll show you now. Once the decals are on, the calipers are dry, as you can tell. Just spray a bit of lacquer. This gives it an extra shine and it gives it a little bit of a coat just to protect it from any stone chips, etc. So you don't need to overdo it, just one spray so it catches the whole caliper, mainly on the decal. So the decal's protected at all times. So it is literally just one coat over the paint, over the decals, just to give it a glossier finish and that bit of protection.